Please consider joining us in the work that we do. Home to nearly 260,000 residents, St. Petersburg is the 5th largest city in Florida and operates under a system that combines the strong political leadership of a mayor with an elected city council. The council serves as legislative branch for the city of St. Pete and has a chair and a vice chair. City council members are elected by the voters in their districts during the primary election and voted on at large in the general election. The mayor and council members serve 4-year terms of office and are limited to 2 consecutive terms. For more information about St. Pete city government, as well as the mission and responsibilities of your elected officials, visit stpete.org. Voter registration for the August 29th primary election closes on July 31st, and as usual, vote-by-mail ballots are available upon request. The City of St. Petersburg will not be offering early voting during this election cycle. The format for this evening's forum was chosen to give you, the audience, a chance to hear views on a wider range of questions than would otherwise be possible in the allotted time frame. We're delighted that there is such an engaged audience here tonight. We hope you will receive fair, clear, and meaningful information. I will not be asking the same question of all candidates on stage for each round. Instead, I'll direct only a few interspersed questions to the entire panel. Primarily, candidates will have 30 seconds each to respond to these questions. However, the majority of the questions will be directed to half of the panel, alternating to the other half of each new question. These are called wild card rounds. During these question rounds, the candidates in the group receiving the question will each have 1 minute to respond. All candidates will have 2 wild card opportunities for a 1-minute response to addressed questions not directed to his or her group by simply raising their hand during that round of questioning. This will become clear as we move along. There will be no rebuttals or opening remarks. In order to accomplish as much as possible, we will be cutting off all candidates who attempt to speak past the stop sign, even if they are mid-sentence. So we're all going to be watching the timers closely. If time permits, I may introduce lightning round questions to which candidates will provide brief 1- or 2-word answers, such as yes or no. Each candidate will have a minute in which to offer a closing statement, the order of which has been determined by number draw. The views expressed by the candidates do not represent those of the League of Women Voters or this forum's sponsor, the St. Petersburg Downtown Neighborhood Association. So to help us all out tonight, please turn off your cell phones and remain quiet during the forum. We ask that you hold your applause until after all the candidates deliver their closing statements. A panel has been reviewing questions for legibility, clarity, and applicability. We'll use as many questions as time allows, but if your question does not get asked, do take advantage of opportunities to follow up with candidates following the forum. We're always sorry when we're unable to ask every question, but gratified by a strong level of civic engagement. Tonight you'll learn more about the candidates running for mayor in City Council District 6. I'd like to remind everyone that these are nonpartisan races. Only residents who live in St. Petersburg District 6 can vote for Council District 6 candidates in the August primary. The mayoral race will appear on all primary ballots, to be voted on at large by every registered St. Petersburg voter, regardless of the district in which they live. In both the mayoral and council races, the 2 candidates who receive the most votes in each contest will move on to the November 7th general election. That is, unless a mayoral candidate receives 50% plus 1 vote in which case that candidate will be declared the winner as a result of the primary election. Now let's welcome the 8 candidates running for St. Petersburg City Council District 6. And I'm going to introduce them in the order of seating. Let me introduce them and give you their names in the order of seating, from the ones who are closest to me to the ones who are furthest away. Right next to me here we have candidate Maria Scruggs. Then we have candidate Justin Bean, Robert Blackman, Corey Gibbons, Jim Jackson, Ernisa Akile Kenyon. And Gina Driscoll. Okay. So this first question tonight, there will be 1 minute for response, and this will be asked for all the candidates in the order in which they're sitting. If elected, how will you improve public safety in St. Petersburg?
If elected as a St. Petersburg City Council representative for District 6, the job of the City Council person is not to directly improve public safety, but indirectly the job of the City Council is to support and respect the fact that we have an appointed chief of police that has demonstrated his ability to affect sound public safety. And I think my role as a City Council person and as a person with a background in public safety, I would be very supportive of Chief Holloway's recommendations to the council.
Yes.
Justin Bean. So to address public safety, first I would work with the police. Right now we have an issue retaining police officers. We're losing police officers at a faster rate than we're adding them. So I would try to work with them on a way to stop that from happening. I would also encourage them to continue working on the community policing, where it's a stop, walk, and talk. So that's what I would do on the police side. I would also implement and work towards the complete street strategy to make our streets more safe for pedestrians, bicyclists, and those driving on our roads. Thank you, Justin Bean.
Hey, Robert Blackman. First of all, we have a new police station coming in. That's great. Hopefully that will add resources and help out our police officers. But also, the main thing for public safety, it is an issue, maybe not in your neighborhood or the whole district, but it's a real issue in certain neighborhoods, such as Midtown. I'm a former Midtown resident, and a big thing that needs to be implemented is community policing, as opposed to just hiring police officers from outside the neighborhood, outside the county. Community policing, so the officers know the people, know the players in the neighborhoods, and aren't just arbitrarily arresting people. They know what's going on. There's kids in the neighborhood, they need to be aware of their backgrounds and their history. We need to also just make sure that there's the auto theft task force that's put back in place. Auto theft has been a huge, huge issue in our city. It's been a pandemic, as I mentioned by the Times, and we really need to work on that. And that's what I do for public safety. Robert Blackman, thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Corey Gibbons Jr., and I'm proud to be running to unite our city. I think for far too long there's been too much division, not only here in our city, but in Tallahassee and Washington, D.C. And I'm running to bring folks together, reach across the aisle, bring folks from different walks of life together. My experience as a neighborhood association president on the Crime Watch board in my neighborhood, Lakewood Terrace, has taught me that there is power in working with our law enforcement. I commend the mayor on his choice for Chief Holloway leading our police department. What I want to do is work to strengthen our relationships, making sure that we give our children opportunities so that they aren't involved in committing crime. I want to make sure that we eliminate poverty. I feel like people who have jobs and who have food in their stomach and clothes on their back will not steal if there's opportunities allotted for them. I want to make sure that we explore those opportunities and that we keep St. Pete moving forward.
Kennedy Jackson.
Welcome to all of you. It's amazing to see this kind of turnout on a rainy night. I'm going to answer the question on public safety. I'm so glad Mayor Kreisman chose Tony Holloway to be our chief of police. He has done an amazing job compared to others before him. His policy of walk, stop, and talk is an excellent one. He's got people in the neighborhoods. He's got an officer assigned to every neighborhood association that show up at every meeting and talk about what has happened in that area. There's some technology in place and more coming that I'm really in favor of. One is dash cams, and the most important to me is body cams. Dash cams are now approved for 15 new cars. Body cams are still in conversation. As your city council representative, I would robustly go for those. ShotSpotter is there as well to find where a bullet has in fact gone off in seconds so a police officer can respond. We have that kind of high-tech technology in this city, fortunately.
My name is Erica Keeley-Canyon, running for District 6 City Council on a platform of radical times, radical solutions. And this is a very important question that was raised at a very important forum, what about the Black community? Because public safety means two different things for the divided city that we live in today. And public safety is contingent upon social and economic justice. And that when there is none of that, when there is not reparations and economic development within the Black community, nobody is safe. And that when you have reparations, economic development, a community is able to feed, clothe, and house themselves, you won't see the issues that you see today. And I firmly believe in Black community control of the police, which I appreciate some of you mentioned community control, Black community control of the police, to ensure the public safety where the Black community has the ability to hire, fire, train, and discipline those to function in our community as those to serve the Black community, under the leadership of the Black community. And that this city has done a horrible job with the public safety of the Black community. It has only attacked the Black community with public policies of police
Stop,
containment.
please. This forum cannot continue if this kind of behavior continues. We ask the audience to be silent. No clapping, no cheering, no remarks at all, or we will not get through this forum.
My name is James Scott. Generally speaking, I approve of our police department's work so far. Chief Holloway, I commend his work and his progress that he's brought to our city. Park, Walk, and Talk is a great idea. It's working. It's building trust with the community. I support that. I think that I see things in terms of short-term solutions and long-term solutions. Short-term, Park, Walk, and Talk works. We have, generally speaking, a reduction in crime. However, car thefts and violent crimes have gone up. We have to address those in the short term. Long term, the issues with crime have to do with lack of opportunity in our communities. That's the long-term solution to our issues with crime and public safety. Civil citations for youth. We need to prevent our youth from getting caught up in the system. And so I want to support law enforcement in finding ways to get our youth to be more productive without bringing them into the system. Again, long-term, providing opportunity and building trust in the community are the best way to build public safety in St. Pete. Thank you. James Scott.
Gina Driscoll. I am so proud that Chief Holloway leads our police department. He has done a fantastic job in reducing crime and increasing our public safety so that this is a better and safer place to live. My favorite program is the Park, Walk, and Talk program, which allows the police officers to get to know their community and vice versa. When something goes wrong, when you see something, you want to be able to go to someone you know. And that program enables our community and our neighbors to do that. I will work with Chief Holloway and the rest of the police department to increase public safety, and to address some of the issues that we're currently looking at, such as shot spotter technology, dash cams, and also the reduction of car thefts. Thank you.
All right, the next question is going to be directed to Group A. And Group A is the first group of 4 candidates that we have sitting closest to me. And you will have 1 minute each to respond. We are going to start with candidate B, come this way, and then wrap around to you, candidate Gibbs. Clear? All right, so this question is, the middle class is shrinking and the poor are getting poorer. What will you do to decrease the poverty rate and help grow the middle class?
So how do we grow the middle class? And I think that starts with education and access to good jobs. So to increase the amount of education here, I would support early childhood education. And I would work to create a fund that comes from the city directed towards early childhood education. And in addition to that, I think we need to have good after-school programs, and we need to connect young people with apprenticeships and ways to get into jobs that aren't necessarily college. So I work with PTAC and other programs to help students find jobs. The other thing is creating jobs. So I've worked in a small business for the last 10 years, and I've helped create jobs. And I want to bring that experience to City Council. We need someone with that type of knowledge that can help recruit businesses, retain businesses, and help startups grow.
Candidate Blank.
So how do we grow the middle class? How do we stop poverty? The main thing is we need to stop generational poverty. So how do we do that? Well, assets, homeownership, jobs, education. Of course, education, there's stuff we can do on City Council. But the main thing is we need good, high-paying jobs. Because if you have a good job, you provide for your family, you buy a house, achieve the American dream. It is still alive, but we need to strengthen and make the access to it a lot easier. How do we do that? Well, the poor laborer of the past, that's out. So there's a lot of construction projects going on in the city. And how do our residents benefit from that? So we can't be, farming jobs and having crews come in from Kentucky or Tennessee. We need to be educating our people on not necessarily college degrees, but give workforce training, be it IT, be it the construction industry. I am a business owner, I'm a job creator, but also we need to see people have the access to the skills they need to get these high-paying jobs. They're available. I'd like to see a lot of people trained in electrical, plumbing, also IT. There's lots of jobs out there. We've got to stop farming them out. These big projects and take them from local residents. Thank you.
It's easy to use the buzzword poverty if you really don't know what it is. It's one thing to have grown up and experienced poverty. I was raised by a single mother. We weren't rich. I was not born with a silver spoon in my hand. I'm proud to know what struggle feels like and looks like, which is the reason that I support the New Deal plan put forward by the People's Budget Review. It addresses poverty by addressing issues like affordable housing, living wage paying jobs, jobs that pay a $15 minimum wage, making sure that we work with businesses to get there so that their business plans aren't skyrocketed by labor costs. Making sure that we do what my opponent said, which is increase funding for early childhood education and also workforce development training. I'm a product of the VPK system, and I'm a product of the Pinellas County school system. So I know how important it is to make sure that we put our money where our mouth is and invest in our children. Because at the end of the day, yes, our children are our future. It's important to make sure that we send a representative to City Hall who has a history of building relationships, a history of making sure that we connect with our leaders in the business sector, both for-profit and non-profit, to bring high-paying jobs here to our community.
Ms. Gross.
The key to addressing the issues of the fact that the middle class is getting poorer is the fact that we've got to focus on economic development in the sense that we have a real strategy. For some time now, we have talked about economic development as a buzzword, and we've used a hodgepodge, but none of those plans spoke specifically to how do we increase the wages of the individuals that live there, how do we increase the opportunity and access to capital for the businesses that are in the Midtown area. One of the things, funding sources that we have failed to access is the Neighborhood Partnership Lending Program, which is a nonprofit out of Tampa that provides an array.
Thank you.
I'd like a wild card on that, please.
Okay.
We don't need to increase the middle class. We need to eradicate poverty in this city. Poverty is all over the city, particularly in Midtown and the South Side. We've got this new deal for St. Pete that is going into place. People that live in Midtown are starting their own businesses. The 22nd Street South Corridor is coming back. We have to make sure that the Tropicana site has workforce housing, has workforce technology, and ties back in to Midtown. It was cut off when they built that stadium and you built the freeways. Eradicate poverty, eradicate the food deserts, and everybody will be uplifted.
How do we address this question of the middle class when we can't address the question of the working class, the poor working class, black community, which wouldn't even be addressed if I wasn't running for office? And that we had a very important forum yesterday titled, What About the Black Community?, where we addressed the issues of the poor working class, black community, and that every contradiction you see in this city, you being pressed out of your homes, you being not able to afford your small business anymore, comes as a result of the oppression inflicted upon the black community. So the only way to ensure a future for everyone in the city is through reparations and economic development. It would take the average black family 228 years to catch up to the average white family. We don't have 228 years. We need reparations and economic development for the stolen lives, the stolen labor of the black community. You need to return the Tropicana field back to the black community. Thank you, Jim, for mentioning what I already said.
Every time you applaud, we are going to track how long you applaud, and we are going to deduct that from that candidate's next seconds off of her time. The next to speak will be candidate.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Let her speak. Let her speak.
Here's the question, and it follows along with what was just spoken about. This is about Tropicana Dome, Tropicana Field. What would your plans be for the Tropicana property? Would you turn over the Tropicana Dome to the black community?
Yes. That was for me, right?
Yes.
Take your time.
The Tropicana Field Dome must go back to the black community as reparations and economic development. That land was built on the gas plant district, which destroyed 800 homes, displaced black families, and destroyed 100 businesses that existed here in the city of St. Pete. That dome must go back to the black community. That is not a question, that is a demand from the black community. That is a demand from the black community. That's the only option for that dome.
All right, same question, candidate Scott.
James Scott here. So when it comes to the Tropicana Field, that's a once-in-a-generation opportunity for the city of St. Pete. The central location between Midtown and downtown provides an opportunity to build a bridge between our communities. I think that there's an opportunity here for that space to be something for everybody. I will say that to address the question of it should be returned to the black community, I think it should be shared with the entire community, but I will say that the history of that space and what was done with the black community there beckons that we as a city acknowledge that historic injustice and that we include that community very specifically in the development of that property. There should be space there for technology, innovation, and job creation, but but also for affordable housing and public spaces and a place for our community to congregate and make a commons for our community. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in that space, and I think it's a once-in-a-generation chance for us to build a place where we all can come together between Midtown and downtown.
Taking time away from your candidates being able to speak, and if this continues, we will just discontinue the forum and ask you all to vote.
I'm Gina Driscoll, and I am very excited about the current plans for redevelopment of the Tropicana Field site. With or without a stadium, this is going to be an opportunity to truly bring the community together. Think about all of the different neighborhoods that border Tropicana Field. This area, with its reimagining, is truly going to be a place for everyone. Thank you.
Folks, we really want to hear from the candidates. We know that you do too. We know that you do time. If we have outbursts like this continue, we'll have to discontinue the forum. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We would rather have the candidates up there and be fair to all the constituents that showed up tonight. So please, let's keep it civil, let's keep it quiet, and let's have the candidates have their time to respond. We don't want to stop the forum. We don't want to have the candidates exit the stage. Sir, enough, please.
Give her time back. Give her time back. Give her time back. Give her time back.
Jim Jackson. I would love to keep Major League Baseball here, but not on the Rays' terms, on our terms. Not a single other tax dollar will go for a new stadium. They are very wealthy. They can build their own stadium, but that's a very small footprint on that 85 acres. The remainder of it, and it was built on the gas plant in Peppertown area. A lot of that should go back and point towards Midtown. Workforce housing, inclusionary zoning, where you would have to require every developer to include one unit for set-aside housing for people to make $30,000, $50,000 a year, city employees on that lot. A high-tech proposal. Put back the roads that separated Midtown from that area of the city as well. Bring it all back together. Tie it together for everybody.
The Tropicana Field, the first responsibility, I think, on the council and administration is to determine how we can legally get the Tropicana Field drawn back into the Southside CRA. There is absolutely no reason why the largest potential tax base was drawn into the downtown district when it was the African American community that was impacted by the dismantling of homes and businesses. That's the first point of business I think the council should do. How can we legally put that back into the Southside CRA, and then how do we go about building housing as well as an incubator so that businesses can begin to be regenerated on the space where they were once taken from.
Right on.
Robert Blackman, yeah, for the drop, that was a two-pronged question. First of all, I'd like to see the stadium stay on the current site on the east end. We don't know what the race will do, but that's what I prefer personally, and then develop around it. Regardless, the current site is a huge barrier that basically disjoints Midtown from downtown. So yes, the gas plant district was taken away, but also let's look at, it's still kind of impacting the black community by being just right there on the back end of the site off 16th Street. So when I lived in Midtown up until last year, driving through the streets would be cut off. So it does negatively impact the black community currently. I'd be naive to not say that some benefits should not be given to the black community. There should be businesses open, tech businesses, jobs could be created, the site can be developed, and there shouldn't be surface parking. Should be parking garages would make the most use of 85 extremely valuable acres in our city. We can put conference space, which is needed in hotels, but there's enough room for everybody. I think certainly there should be a memorial to the gas plant district who live there, but also let's put in jobs and space for the black community to open businesses. Thank you, Robert Blackman.
The next question is going to be addressed to...
I was going to take a wild card on that too.
Oh.
Thank you. Justin Bean. So I was recruited to work as a consultant for a team that bid on the master plan for the Tropicana Field site. So I helped work on a plan. It's 86 acres in the heart of our downtown. It's one of the biggest opportunities to grow our city that we've had ever. So we really need to think hard about what we do. The first thing that we have to do is we have to reintegrate our roads. That'll reestablish the grid that makes St. Petersburg easy to build business districts on. The second thing we need to do is create a special district and start looking at how we can recruit businesses and build office space so that we can bring more jobs to St. Petersburg. The third thing we need to look at is, are we going to have a stadium or not? If we're not going to have a stadium, what goes there? And then the last piece would be affordable housing and workforce development.
The next question goes to Group A, and we'll start with candidate.
It should be Robert.
That's why I have an assistant. This question is, what would you continue doing that Carl Nurse has been doing in that council seat? And what would you do differently?
Well, Councilman Nurse, he's tried his best for our city. He's done good work, but we really need to look at what's going to be happening with mayoral race, who's going to be going in there. There are a lot of issues that are not solved from his term. He tries his best to do service. We need to look forward, so not backwards. It was, because we're an ever-evolving district, right? The downtown's blowing up. There are issues with Midtown. There are issues with Southeast St. Pete. The sewer system's getting worse. So we need to just look at addressing things. We can't be looking backwards. We need to be looking forward to what we can do to help our city out environmentally, build it here, figure out what's going on with the Rays ASAP, figure out the development of the Trop site, and make sure that downtown continues to thrive, but sustainably. Thank you very much, Robert Blackman.
I think it's safe to say that no leader is perfect, but I think Carl Nurse has done an amazing job as our council. And I think Carl has done a great job. I look forward to emulating Carl's work model when I'm on council. In my first term, I want to make sure that we continue to listen to residents. Yes, listen to residents, because we will not always agree, my friends. But what we should do is respect each other enough to listen and respect each other enough to agree to disagree. And I think Carl's done an amazing job at that, and I will continue to do that when I'm elected to City Council.
So what I'd like to focus on are the things that I would do differently than Council Member Nurse. One of the things that I am really excited about in District 6 is that it's a very diverse group of residents in District 6. The neighborhoods are very diverse. And I think that there has not been much of a strategic focus on how do we engage that diversity to ensure that we have a strong District 6. I think that there has been very little impact or input that has been accepted from a citizen. I know because I'm one of them, and I'm very engaged, and as a resident of Midtown with over 30 plus years of public service, believe me, I had a lot to say and a lot of solutions to the issues that impacted me. And I don't think that those were adhered to. I don't think they were heard. And I think that what I know differently is that I understand the importance of accepting and embracing all the voices and coming to consensus in what's best for the district and not what's best for one segment of the community.
Okay, this next question is going to be. Okay.
30 seconds, right? I should be. Should be my question, right? So Justin being here. So when I think about Carl Nurse, I think about three things. I think about affordable housing or cleaning up neighborhoods. I think about small business, and I think about sustainability. So I would try to follow his footsteps in providing affordable housing, especially in neighborhoods that need to be built up. I would look at how we can make our city more environmentally friendly and sustainable by looking at our energy use policies, solar energy, and the environment and the surrounding bay. And then I would also use my small business background to help small businesses grow and get started in St. Petersburg. Thank you, Justin Bean.
Welcome. Jim Jackson. Carl Nurse has been my city councilman for the whole 10 years that I've lived in the city. We were actually neighbors in the old Southeast. And to his credit, he offered to take all of us on a drive around through District 6 and sat down, I think, all of us for 90 minutes of what the issues were in the district before we even started running. I walked many of the neighborhoods, particularly in the south part of the district. The thing that Carl does best is constituent services. When you live on a block down in Lakewood Terrace or by Lake Maggiore, you want to talk about lunch bucket issues. Who's going to come and fix my walk? Who's going to fight for that gate that is next to me? Carl, when I talk to people at their doors, they remember what Carl has done. He has followed them up to the court process at times. He is with them all the way. That is where Carl has done the best job.
I want to put a screeching halt to the legacy of Carl Nurse, which has been nothing but gentrification. He created one of the architects of the community redevelopment area, to which he owns 4 plots of land and makes his profit off of literally gentrifying the black community. He's also the architect of just gentrification within this district. That District 6 used to be a predominantly black district until it was gerrymandered, and other parts of the district were separated, parts were taken in and taken out, and now we made it a majority white district in a city that's majority white, where a district is supposed to represent the people, and now the black community does not have any voice. Carl Nurse is responsible for all of that. He's responsible for the gentrification and the police containment within the black community, because gentrification does not go absent with the police containment. It works hand in hand. So I want to end the legacy of Carl Nurse, and I want to create a district where the people are in power, where the black community actually has a voice, and where we don't have to be run and operated by puppet governments and people who puppeteer Carl Nurse. No thank you.
All right.
I would also like a wild card, please. I was not getting a wild card, but I would like to defend Carl's legacy here. Carl has not been a perfect leader. No leader is, but I will say this: he's a good man. He's a dedicated public servant. He cares about his community. What we need from our elected officials is somebody who not only cares about their community, but who gets in there and understands the budgets and the policies and the processes and the minutia and machinery of local government to move resources and to align them with the priorities of the community. And he is not, like I said, when you've been in a position for 2 terms, there's going to be a lot of fair criticism each your way. But I think that what we need out of City Hall right now is somebody who not only understands how local government works, but who is also willing to be a gadfly when necessary. Carl is a progressive. He cares about sustainability, which I do too. But he also is willing to challenge our mayor, whoever our mayor is. Carl is a rational-minded individual. He will challenge the folks no matter what your party, and I think that is something that we can respect in these days. When in a day of bad public discourse, we need that. Thank you.
Yes.
Gina Driscoll. I'm quite proud to have Carl Norris as our city council member, and I admire him, and I'm proud to have known him and worked with him on my neighborhood issues for the past several years. We've got big shoes to fill. There aren't that many people who can reach out to so many different types of neighborhoods within one big diverse district. I'm going to attempt to do that by taking the same approach that he does, and that's with thoughtful leadership that looks at every aspect of an issue before making a plan or a decision, with an inclusive approach that listens to everyone and thinks about how decisions affect every person. And also with fiscal responsibility that takes a look at every dollar and makes sure that every dollar is spent wisely. Thank you.
All right, we're ready for the next question, and this question is going to go to the entire panel, and this one will have only a 30-second response. We're going to start this with candidate Jackson and go that way and wrap around the table and come back that way. So, the question is, the noise issue has been ongoing for 5 years. What are your feelings about bars adhering to the ordinances?
You know, the noise issue is really a cultural concept. Some people's noise is a good time. Other people's noise is keeping them up at night on Beach Drive. We welcome millennials. We've made a city for millennials. Now you want to turn them away? I think bars can close at 2. I think 3 or 4 that have bands banging with the decibel level, and we know it's louder than they say it is, and it's hard to test for that. So I do
Thank you.
If the city government stopped spending so much money and putting resources into downtown and building bars, it wouldn't have a noise issue. And if you put those resources into the black community in the form of reparations and economic development, that could really solve your noise issue. But how is that a question when we're talking about the lives and the lives of the people in this city? This is a war, and we're talking about the noise level. I can't. The people are literally battling the city government because this city is divided, and the people are dying. The black community is literally dying, and the noise is the issue.
Thank you.
James Scott here. I would beg to differ. I don't think that downtown St. Pete is in a war. I think it's actually a blossoming happy place. In regards to the question, I'm from Daytona Beach, where we have Bike Week. We have a very simple law, and it is you pull out the decibel meter as a law enforcement officer, and if that person is above that limit, they get a ticket. You set a rule, you use a device, you measure it, you enforce it. Thanks.
Gina Driscoll. Talking with folks around here, the problem isn't so much with the ordinance itself, it's with the enforcement. And there are a lot of different ideas about that. Some say it should be a police issue, that it's handled with them. Others feel that it's a codes issue. What I'm going to be doing is continuing my work with the city to resolve this and make sure that everyone can live and play in our area. Thank you.
Kennedy's first.
The issue with the noise is not so much as my opponent has said about the decibel meters. It is the actual enforcement. I think one of the things that we're going to have to do in revisiting this ordinance is that there has to be a varying degree of what we accept noise in the residential part of the community versus those parts of the areas that we have deemed commercial. I think it's very difficult to expect that we have a venue for concerts.
Justin Bean. I think the noise issue is an important issue, especially for people downtown. People's livelihoods at open bars and restaurants depend on noise to bring people there, so I think it's important to respect that. I also think it's important to respect the people that are moving here, moving downtown, because they want to live in a place where they can walk to where they're going. So I think we need to balance that. The problem right now is we're not actually enforcing the law that's in place, just like we're not enforcing the law to keep the noise level down in the room.
Robert Blackman here. The question was the noise ordinance. So who does that affect? People who live downtown, the high-rise condos, the ones who are affected. There's been discussion about, bar owners saying they would relocate or redirect speakers. I don't know that it's been done, but you just need to be careful what you wish for, because the bars being downtown is what has made your property values go up. Hey, I don't live downtown, but if the bars, close down, you may see a drop in your property value. So you just got to be mindful of that. Noise ordinances that can be enforced. If the business owners make a decision to keep the noise loud, you can fine them and collect the money from them.
Through my experience on the city's nuisance and abatement board, and also my experience as a neighborhood association president, and my work with the Council of Neighborhood Associations, I've learned the importance of dialogue, not only with residents, but with business owners as well. We need to make sure that there's a system in place that addresses the issues as it relates to noise. Construction on our pier piling just began last week. We need to make sure that addresses the issues as it relates to residents. No one wants to be sleeping at 8 o'clock at night when pier piling's going down. We need to make sure that we work with business owners so that we don't take food and bread out of their tables and pockets.
All right, we're done with that round. Thank you. We're going to have another round where we're going to direct questions to the entire panel. Again, it's going to be 30-second answers. We're going to start at the far end with candidate Driscoll and just come down the table this way. Where do you stand on the proposed ordinance that would ban super PAC contributions to candidates, limiting contributions from corporations with significant foreign ownership?
I'm strongly in favor of this ban. Thank you.
James Scott here. I have 30 seconds, correct? Yep. Money in politics is one of the greatest threats to our democracy. I realize that is an issue that should be addressed on the national and state levels. However, when you look at our Congress, our President, our Supreme Court, our Florida legislature, our Florida government, there is not going to be progress made on that. So here in St. Pete, I refuse to believe that we can just stand by and do nothing. If we have an opportunity to act, to challenge that unjust law, and challenge the threat to our democracy, I realize there's costs involved, and if folks disagree, I'm
Thank
for
you.
it. Thank you.
I'm opposed to big money in politics, but I don't think that the city government and the electoral system got the memo. As Rick Baker and Rick Kreisman both have raised over almost close to $1 million in their campaign, and that I completely agree that big money cannot control politics, and that it has controlled it for far too long, and that's why the interests of the people are always squashed as a result of profit coming over us. And that is evident in the case with Jesse Neville running for mayor. They're keeping him out of the debate on July 25th because it hasn't raised $25,000.
I gotta tell you, I'm so proud of the local groups that have come together for the Defend the Democracy issue. That our little town of St. Petersburg, Florida, is the first in the nation to start this legal process to limit and eventually overturn Citizens United. Hats off to Julie Kessel, to Karen Lieberman, to Claire Ray, to all people that are still fighting this process. There are 2 more hearings to come. The vote now in City Council is 5-3. They need a supermajority. I would be one of those votes.
I support the Defend Your Democracy ordinance, and I was proud to be down at City Hall when hundreds of residents turned out to stand up and to make their voices heard. I support keeping dark money out of local politics. I think every candidate should have a fair shot at making their voices heard. I think the money that comes into these elections sometimes dismays or takes away from those voices. And we need to make sure that citizens are heard as well as the candidates' messages.
Robert Blackman. Do I support the measure? Yes. Am I worried about its implementation? Absolutely. We have really important issues here like the pier, the drop, public safety. I just don't want to get involved in a legal battle that we may not be able to win, and it could be extremely costly. I don't think it's an issue with any of us that we have, big foreign investors investing in our campaigns. But at the same time, it should be done at a state and national level. I'm just worried about, with our budget already stretched as tight as it is, that we get involved in a huge legal storm that we can't fight and just being distracted from the real issues at hand. Thank you very much, Robert Blackman.
Justin Bean. Let's hear from her. Justin Bean, I think we need to look at how we're raising our money in local politics. I disagree with the city's efforts to try to make it the St. Petersburg issue. We need to be focused on these sewers, we need to be focused on the pier, we need to be focused on affordable housing. And we need to look at, if you really want to focus on it, look at how people are raising their money now. I've raised most of my money for less than $100. I mean, most of my donors are bringing in small amounts, and that's how you know who's working to try to make your city a better place.
I hope as a city that we can focus on more than one issue. I think that we can focus on housing, we can focus on the pier, but more importantly, I think we have to pay attention to trends. We see and we're the victims of what is happening when big money buys elections. We are traumatized by what is happening in Washington. And to sit back and do nothing for fear of a lawsuit, to me, is just an easy way out. When we have to, if you're in leadership, if you're about people, you have to have the courage to be able to fight for people.
This next question is going to go to Group B. You'll have 1 minute each to answer. We're going to start with Mr. Scott and wrap around. Why is St. Petersburg not requiring wholesale sewer customers to pay their fair share of the hundreds of millions of sewer repairs? This could have been done in the Florida Department of Environmental Protection consent order.
I'll be perfectly honest, I do not know the details of wholesale customers and how they pay their fair share with the city. But I will say this, that moving forward with the city sewer system, we're going to have to make some very important, expensive decisions. And a lot of folks are going to have to start paying their fair share. For many, many years, the city of St. Pete and our leaders had short-sighted leadership and did not invest the proper amount of public dollars into that system. And so whether it's so folks from all pay scales and all parts of our community are going to have to invest in that system. But the folks who have the most opportunity in our community and the folks who have the most benefit from our community, they need to pay their fair share. So I think that we need to be conscious of how we equitably distribute the cost burden of investing in the system. And I'll look into the issue. If anybody wants to meet me after this event to inform me, because you asked this question, I'd be happy to talk about it. James Scott, thank you.
Gina Driscoll. The problem with our sewers, it didn't happen overnight. We can sit around all day looking at what happened in the past. It's not going to be fixed overnight, but we are now working toward a solution and repairing the damages and creating a better infrastructure for our city. I applaud the city for the work that they're doing now. That's what I'm focused on, and I'm going to make sure that we keep our foot on the gas and make sure that the work is done quickly and efficiently and effectively so that we can make sure that this damage and this embarrassment never happens in our city again. Thank you.
Jim Jackson, for God's sakes, let's not put the onus of responsibility on the single-family homeowner. It's the city and the last 4 mayors that has done this. We've had a total lack of transparency and accountability about our infrastructure for years. It's not people's leaky pipes that needs to be, they need to be replaced, but it's the city that should be responsible for sewage in our bays. We should take all the money we're diverting for all the shiny things downtown and fix our infrastructure for the next 20 or 30 years out so we don't have to go through this again. 5 beaches were closed last week because of the high bacterial content. We're the Sunshine City. People come here to go to the beach. You can't have feces in the water.
investigation needs to be reopened on the Kreisman administration for the criminality of the 256 million gallons of untreated sewage dumped into the Black community of Clam Bayou and the Tampa Bay at large, and that this was no coincidence that Albert Whitted was closed down because of property value, because the real estate developers that work in the back pocket of Kreisman saw money signs when they saw Albert Whitted. They closed that plant down against the will of the workers who warned them not to close it down. So the solution is workers' power. The people in water resources who work in that department, who know that department like the back of their hand, need to have power in that department. You need to reopen and modernize Albert Whitted sewage plant because all of the sewage infrastructure hasn't been fixed since the 70s, so resources need to go to that. And yeah, somebody has to go to jail for 256 million gallons of sewage. You can't blame the people for the city government's mistake.
The next question is going to go to Ube.
We got a wild card.
I want to speak to this issue briefly because in my neighborhood, Lakewood Terrace, which borders Coquina Key and Lake McGorry, last year after Hurricane Hermione, we were inundated like many of you with rains. I was happy to be down at City Hall speaking on behalf of all you constituents, voicing our concerns and frustration. You know, it shouldn't be okay just dumping 200 million gallons of raw and untreated sewage water into our bay. Our environment is precious. Our waterfront is precious, and we should work to preserve it. Also, you know, we haven't had a real plan in place in 22 years. I don't want to be sitting here on this plan quick and fast.
Justin being here, I want to talk about some facts. So right now we have a plan in place. We're spending $300 million to replace to line sewer mains, to replace manhole covers, and to fix public laterals. These are the main things that we can, as a city, do right now, and we have a plan to do that. Right now, Albert Whitted is open for the storage of sewage, not the processing of sewage. The next step is private laterals. That's where the big question comes in. How do we address private laterals on your property? We can't. I would not want to raise taxes to go in and dig up your laterals and make sure that they're all okay. So we have to look at that and think about how we do that as a city and how we move this issue forward. Right now, the taxes are being raised on your water bills because we're doing this plan, and it's something that we have to do and that we've taken on, but it's something that is happening right now. I would continue that work, and I would continue to try to fix this problem head on.
Robert Blackman. So there is a huge sewage issue, and how do we fix that? Well, there's multiple prongs to this. First of all, the laterals are bad, yes. How do we fix that? Well, the city already has a rebate program for low-flow toilets. You install it, they reimburse you for most of, if not all, the work done, as long as you use a licensed plumber. We can do that to correct the lateral issues. As far as the sewage, it's a huge problem. It needs to stop immediately. I go swimming off the shore of Lassen Park all the time. I was there the day of the sewage dump. Nobody informed us that that's wrong. I wouldn't have swum in sewage if I had known it was happening. But regardless, it shouldn't be happening. It's bad for the environment, bad for the people, bad for property values, bad for PR for the city. As far as other issues, though, the sewage issue, Albert Whitted should be reopened. Absolutely, it should be. And there is a plan in place, and that's great. We just need to make sure we implement this plan at all times, not just when we're under a mandate, but stick to this. We will always have an issue. We're so close to sea level. We always need to be mindful of our sewer system. No, it's not exciting. No, it's not cool. No, it's not sexy. But we need to focus on our sewer system and not our projects and other things. We need to focus on infrastructure first.
Thank you.
Everything else will follow.
All right, folks, we're ready for closing remarks now. And each of you will have 1 minute for the closing remarks. We are going to start down at the far end of the table with candidate Driscoll and come right down this way.
Thank you, and thank you to the League of Women Voters of St. Petersburg, the Hilton Bayfront, and the St. Petersburg Downtown Neighborhood Association for bringing us together for this important forum tonight. I'm Gina Driscoll, and I'm running for St. Petersburg City Council in District 6. I've been serving this community for years, and now I want to do more to help everyone in this city to grow and succeed. In addition to being president of this very Downtown Neighborhood Association, I serve on the boards of several other organizations, and I'm very involved in others that help small businesses and the community to thrive. It's a record that I'm proud to run on, and now I want to do more to make St. Petersburg a place where everyone can live, work, and play. This is where I live and work, so what happens here is very important to me. I'm going to listen to every single person, and we're going to work together on the issues that we face. Thank you.
My name is James Scott, and I'm running for St. Petersburg City Council because I love the city of St. Pete, and I want to be a public servant. I want to serve my community. We're in a critical moment in our city's history right now. We have some very important decisions to make. We have to be very forward-thinking. The future is coming really fast, and we need leaders who can innovate and collaborate and make things happen on behalf of the public. My record of service includes expansion of access to health care and fresh food and transportation and clean, affordable energy. Those are the kind of values that I believe this community embraces, and which is why I want to serve this community. We need a vision for the city. Globalization has crushed the middle class, not even speaking about the history of poverty that already exists in this city. We have some major historical wrongs to right in this community. We have many opportunities to do so, and I think that building a smarter, cleaner, more efficient, more fair economy is at our fingertips, and it's an opportunity that we have in this race. And I'm James Scott for St. City Council. I hope you earn your vote. Thank you.
My name is Ernisa. I'm 20 years old. I've lived in the city my entire life. And I'm running for this position because my community's life is on the line. We don't have 3 to 4 years because at this rate that the city calls progress, my community is being gentrified out of existence. My people are being murdered by the police for the so-called public safety of the city. And my people, and the people of this city who believe in democracy, who want to see true progress, are being bamboozled by this rigged election system. This entire debate right here was rigged against the people. You don't have a voice in this room. You didn't have a voice in this room tonight. We didn't have the ability to even introduce ourselves. This is rigged against the people, and I'm standing here running for city council to represent the voice of the people that has been downtrodden for the sake of big money and big development, which has been cloaked under the banner of so-called progress. We're going to unite the city with reparations and economic development and justice to the black community. That's the only way to be progressive. Ernisa for District 6. Radical Times.
Chose St. Petersburg because it was a progressive, warm, friendly, equality, equity city, but not for all. But we have some issues we need to look at. Now let's face it, we've got some infrastructure issues. Let's face it, we need more workforce and job training programs for everybody all over this district. It's a very rich, diverse district, from 9th Avenue North to 74th Avenue South. It goes out to the Deuces, it goes out to Midtown. It incorporates the great new downtown that we have. We need to spread some of that wealth and richness out to the other areas. We need affordable housing, truly workforce housing for people that work for the city and need about $30,000 to $50,000 to buy a house. We need groceries, we need co-ops, we need gardens in the communities so people can buy fresh fruits and vegetables without having to go downtown, hop on a bus, or taking a shuttle from Midtown.
Thank you.
Jim Jackson.
I'm running for city council because this election is personal for me. It's not about black and white. It's not about rich or poor. It's not about Midtown versus downtown, but this is about doing what's right for our city. It's about protecting the future of those children who are to come after us. It's about the young man who I mentor at Lakewood Elementary School who's concerned and afraid to go outside every day because of the gun violence and the drug activity taking place in the corner. It's about making sure that we all have a fair shot and a fair voice in the democratic process. Everyone deserves to be heard. But what I'll do in City Hall in my first term is make sure that we place a renewed emphasis on constituent services. I make sure we bring everyone into the table and make sure all voices are heard. You know, there's an economic boom taking place right now in downtown St. Pete, and I want to make sure that that success is shared across our city. It's impossible to truly know what it's like to serve people if you aren't on the ground. My experience in my neighborhood has taught me the importance of boots on the ground strategy. It's taught me how important it is to connect with voters and knocking on doors and phone banking. I've learned just how important it is to give folks a voice.
All right, Robert Blackman. First of all, I agree with what Gina said earlier. We need a candidate who can represent the entire district, and that candidate is me. I have done good works in every community I've lived in. I've lived in Midtown, I've lived on Kokini Key, I've renovated 2 different buildings in downtown, in your neighborhood. People talk about the old housing stock being dated. I'm making sure that it's turned into historic and updated. I won awards from Safety Preservation, the top award for renovating the building. And hey, I love you, Jim. I hate to say this, but there's no such thing as Lake Mayoral. It's Lake McGorry. We need somebody who knows that, running for office and holding office. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Also people have been hating on you, who candidates for being here. Let's be real. They care about our community. They've come out to every single event. I appreciate all community involvement. I want to represent our entire community, not just one pocket. I want to represent Kokini Key, Midtown, downtown, every single section, Old Southeast, Tropical Shores. It is a huge district. I'm born and raised in this district, born downtown in Bayfront. I'm a local boy. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm your candidate. Please vote for me, Robert Blackman. Thank you so much for all of your involvement. Please come talk to me after the event. I'd love to hear from any and all of you because I want to represent all of you. Thank you, Robert Blackman.
Justin B., and thank you all for coming here tonight. We need a candidate that's issue-focused, that's been involved in the issues, and that knows how to move the city forward. I've been working on different issues focused on the city. I started here. I sat on the Upland and Selection Committee Task Force. From there, I started a nonprofit called the Williams Park Partnership to try to renew our downtown. And I think we need people that are going to listen first, and then lead. So you need someone that's going to be able to listen. You need someone that knows the issues, and then you need someone that cares. Thank you, I'm Justin B.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Maria L. Scruggs, and I'm asking you to hire me. One of the things that I've learned about applying for a job is there are primarily 2 things that you need: education and experience.
Please respect the candidate.
As I was saying, my name is Maria L. Scruggs, and I'm asking you to hire me. What I bring to the St. Petersburg City Council are 2 things that I think hiring anybody has to consider: your education and your experience. Most of us have experienced what most of us have had 200 days of suffering through hiring somebody in Washington with no experience. We cannot afford to repeat that same mistake here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Thank you.
All right, this concludes the first portion of our program. Before the mayoral candidates take the stage, let's give the District 6 council candidates a round of applause. Please remain quiet and in your seats. Candidate Kajemi was invited to participate in this evening's forum, but was unable to attend. Again, please stay seated so that we have a time to address as many of your questions as possible to the mayoral candidates. If you have not had a chance to submit a question, League staff members are now collecting questions for the mayoral candidates. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We need all questions collected as soon as possible. For any of you who have just arrived, the format for the mayoral portion of tonight's forum will be much like the format used for the first segment. Could I have your attention, please, because I'm imparting some important information. I'll address a few interspersed questions to the entire panel. Candidates will each be given 30 seconds to answer these. I'll also incorporate wildcard rounds, during which I'll direct the questions to half of the candidate panel.
Plan your way.
During these wildcard rounds, panelists may address a question not directed to their group by exercising one of their 3 wildcard options. Again, this will become clear as we move along. If time permits, I may introduce lightning round questions requiring only 1 or 2 word responses from panelists. Each candidate will have 1 minute in which to offer a closing statement, the order of which has been decided by number draw. There will be no rebuttals or opening remarks. And now here are your candidates for mayor. Candidate Baker, Candidate Barnwell, Candidate Bates.
No debate, okay.
Candidate Kreisman, Candidate Lassiter, and Candidate Neville. These candidates are seated in alphabetical order. That is not necessarily the order in which they're going to address their closing remarks. All right. The first question is going to everyone on the panel, and it requires only a 30-second response, and we'll start down at this end with Candidate Baker. How will you fund sewer repairs?
First of all, good morning, good evening, and thank you for the league and for the Downtown Neighborhood Association for all y'all for being here. First, I think we have to look at how did we get here, and the way I funded sewer repairs when I was in office for 9 years is we spent $160 million over a 9-year period to invest in the sewer and water capital improvements in our city. In 2007, we were named the best maintained sewer system in the state for the major cities. And thank you.
The way I would fund the repairs for the sewage system is to take away from some of the overfunded programs and spending that the city is doing currently right now. So I would just basically take away from that and use those funds to build up the infrastructure of the sewage system.
No debate, vote Kate. There's no need for us to continue to look at how we got here. What we need to look at is how to get forward. And there's a comprehensive plan that's been in place, and that's the plan that we should follow and expound upon. And let's not also forget that Mayor Baker will throw our current administration under the bus about dumping sewage. Let's not forget that he dumped sewage as well, and it's time for us to come together and stop the cowardly remark and let's get the job done, because he will be starting to bring sewage.
Thank you. In order to figure out how to fix the system, you have to know how we got to where we're at. And when we look at the past, what we see is that
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
for a lot of years, so we've got a plan to move forward to fix the system so we don't pass this on to future generations. It's a $305 million plan. We've already bonded the first $150 million, and we will be doing a rate increase. We cannot pass this on to future generations.
I believe we need to look at one of the general funds, and then also the city received a whole lot of money, and Steve Cornell was right on point when he tried to get them to utilize that money for the sewer system. I think we need to see how much that money is left, and we should utilize it, and then look at all the other little different pots they got hid out everywhere, and do what we need to do to make something that's basic right.
My name is Jesse Neville. I would make Rick Kreisman pay for it. And the rest of the gang of crooks who got us into this mess and were ignoring a 2014 audit warning them not to shut down the Albert Whitted sewage. Yeah. I would open a criminal investigation into the Kreisman administration. Somebody should go to jail.
The next question is going to be directed to Group A. We're going to start with candidate Barnwell and wrap around in that group. We're going to have 1 minute to answer this question. With Pinellas County being the #1 at-risk county in the country for sea level rise, how do you plan to keep us safe?
There are a few options that we would have available, but what I would make sure I would do is get the best in the nation to bid on taking care of the situation in a bidding process.
Candidate Bates.
Yes, as far as this issue, we have to continue going forward as a green city. We do have to focus on climate change because this is real. We have to focus on emissions that we are putting into the air. We also have to focus on the different chemicals and pollutants that's going into our water. Everything undoubtedly ties back to our earth and Mother Nature. We have to continue to take care of our earth. In the way, the track that we're on the right track. However, I will aggressively go after to expound and make it better.
Candidate Baker.
I would agree that you have to continue the Green City programs that we started with all the environmental issues associated with it. That you know, we're a quality of life city, and we should be the top green city in the state. I also believe another way to address it is make sure you adequately maintain your stormwater system, and you especially don't close a 25 million gallon a day sewer plant like we did in our little plant. I would work to reopen that plant.
All right, we have one hand up for a wild card response. Wild card responses are a minute.
Thank you. I think first off, it's you have to believe in the science of climate change in order to figure out how to address it. So the city is embarking on a climate action plan that will set us in a course for the next 50 years of the steps that we need to take in order to address issues of sea level rise and climate change. In addition, we've taken a 100% renewable pledge. So every project that we do as we go forward as a city, we're going to be looking through the lens of what do we need to do to address climate change? How do we need to build our buildings so that they are more efficient? And so when you look at the new pier, you look at the new police station, those buildings will all have solar. When you look at North Shore Pool, we put solar and geothermal there. So every project that we do going forward, whether it's a new building or it's an existing building, will be looked at through the lens of reaching that goal of being 100% renewable, and also taking those steps necessary through our zoning ordinances and all of our ordinances to address climate change.
The solution solution to ending the environmental damage caused in Pinellas County is to take these big money politicians and these corrupt forces, these corrupt criminals that are controlling City Hall right now and taking power back in the hands of the people. Because if you look at a consent agenda published 2008 by St. Pete City Council, you will find that at that point, Rick Baker approved running a water transmission line through the dumping ground of a gun range. So you have Baker to thank for lead in your water, and you have Kreisman to thank for sewage in your water. We need a new beginning.
This next question is going to be directed to Group B. We're going to start with candidate Kreisman and go down the table. This is going to have a 1-minute response. Who are your top 5 campaign finance contributors? We want to know who supports you. Wait a minute.
My top 5 campaign contributors. That's a good question. I mean, I have a lot of contributors who've contributed the maximum you can to a candidate, which is $1,000. But I'm also
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to hear the speaker.
Thank you. I'm also proud of the fact that I've received hundreds of $5 contributions and $10 contributions and $25 contributions. So, there's a number of contributions that are $1,000. That's the maximum we can receive as a campaign, and there's a lot of folks that are supporting my campaign. But I'm equally proud of those who contributed $5.
Craig Share.
Their votes are just as important as anyone else's.
I'm pleased and I'm honored to say that Brenda Nelson, Mother Mamie Lloyd, Evelyn Thompson, one of my boys, Canary Long, no, unfortunately, and that's something y'all got twisted, and I wish y'all would get it script. Terry, no. I depend on the community. I serve the community. I depend on God to meet my needs. So I wish you all would quit lying, saying that I'm on the payroll. Number one, I'm high maintenance. They can't do it. I'm sorry. I will shut you down tonight. You won't do what you did last night tonight. That's the bottom line. I got the real people, man, that I serve every day. They contributed to me. All these lawyers and officials, they have not given me a dime. And that's the bottom line. So, y'all want to go there? I'm the one. No. I ain't gonna stupid, no way.
I campaign is funded by the people. It's all public information. I don't have Craig Share in my back pocket like Kreisman. I don't have Sembler like Baker. I don't have these big money forces in my back pocket. And that's why they won't let me on the July 25th televised $500,000 and then Baker Company in 3 weeks raised over $600,000. That didn't come from the people.
Wild card.
The question was, who's the top 5 contributors to my campaign? I'm for my own campaign. I'm Anthony Cates. I'm the people's candidate. Not only is Jesse Neville not allowed to speak at the July 25th debate, I'm not allowed to speak at the debate.
down this way. How do you plan on stimulating needed economic development in the Southside neighborhood?
Economic development, that's something that's also needed. Not only this administration, I'm talking past and previous administrations. We must direct and allocate funds to help with the initiatives to uplift the impoverished areas of St. Petersburg. It's been far too long where our small businesses are not properly funded, and that's because they don't have the capital to acquire the loans to whether they can compete on a global level. We must start funding and helping to direct resources to those smaller businesses to help thrive our impoverished communities.
The first thing you do is you try to improve the appearance and the resources within the community. You then try to improve the opportunities for the people within the community. So, such as when we brought the grocery store and we brought the bank, and we brought all those resources to that part of the community in order to address the opportunities.
Please let the candidate speak.
In order to address the opportunities for the people in that community. I think education, job training is so critical, which is why we brought a St. Pete College campus to that part of the community, why we brought a job corps to that part of the community, why we brought a Head Start for the kids in that community, and why I raised private money to fund 1,000 college scholarships for children in free introduced lunch programs so they could go to college. 93% of those kids graduated from high school and went on to college. I believe that is key to opportunity.
The next question is going to be directed to Group B.
Wild card.
Thank you. Go ahead, sure.
Okay, first thing we'll do is change the boundaries of the CRA back to what they former was, 5th Avenue South. When they moved them over to 1st Avenue North, that was messed up. Because you have Central Avenue that's already getting money and funding from the in-town redevelopment and all those different plans. They've had Central Avenue as Central Avenue, Grand Central Avenue, Greater Grand Central Avenue. All this started with Leslie Coran when she was on council and she had a gallery there. We need to move that back. Plus, we need to look at the existing programs that's already in place that are getting money for services, and those that are not effective, we need to shut it down. Then the third way that we're going to do it is by going to the people. People are tired of being around the table and not at the table. Thank you.
Candidate Barnwell, I owe you an apology. We missed you, so you can still answer the question as it was originally written.
As a business owner in this city for 13 years, I have seen that there are roadblocks put in the way of some of the business owners. I don't believe that city government is there as a crutch to be a source of corporate welfare, as if you will. But I believe that if businesses are not roadblocked with various tactics that the city of St. Petersburg currently utilizes, that they would be able to flourish and grow. I also believe that the minority business enterprise, which was dismantled in 1994 in the city of St. Petersburg, needs to be brought back, and a disparity study needs to be done. And the federal funding that is not coming to the city of St. Petersburg but goes to many other cities needs to be brought back to the city.
My answer to this question has been the center of the platform that I've campaigned on, and it's actually the real reason why I'm being excluded from the July 25th debate, and the other non-Green candidates are paying the price for that. I stand for reparations and economic development for the Black community, and I believe that a public policy of reparations and economic development for the Black community will move the entire city forward. It will benefit and uplift the entire city, and that we cannot call ourselves a progressive city until we address the historic injustices and oppression faced by the black community. And that doesn't mean a Walmart or a Sweet Bay, which is not economic development, that is capital extraction. That's a corporation taking money from the people, and it doesn't mean a phony CRA that is just a shell for gentrification, where you talk about $60 million being generated over the course of 30 years, but there's $85 million somewhere to build a new police station. No. We need
All right, the next question is going to be addressed to Group B, and we will start with candidate Lassiter and go around. This question is, how will you address homelessness? This is a 1-minute answer.
I put in a public service request last week, and to my amazement, I received 31 pages of properties that the city owns. With those 31 pages, and it's got about 20 on each page, I would recommend that we would get together and we would designate some of those houses where we could put maybe 4 to 6 men in one house for 6 months. Let them fix the house up, they have somewhere to stay. We bring in social services programs to help them to get a job and to go head on. We could also do that with families. It makes no sense to me that this city has that much stock in their coffin, and they're not concerned about the people that are laying behind buildings under the highway. It takes all of us. It's going to take the churches. It's going to take these nonprofits that's getting money in the name of people.
Thank you. Candidate Neville. It's your turn, Candidate Neville.
We need a mayor who is willing to say unequivocally that housing is a human right. And I will have failed as a mayor if we go 30 days without every single person in this city having a place to sleep at night. And one thing we can do is keep Box Cutter Baker as far away from the homeless people as possible. End the criminalization of the homeless. It is not a crime. It is a crime that people are forced into homelessness, and that's the problem that we have to address. We need to build affordable housing. We need to make it illegal to charge people to stay in a homeless shelter, and we need to support the empowerment and self-determination of the homeless community to lead this process of eradicating homelessness in this state.
Thank you. I'm going to agree with something that was said by each of my opponents that are sitting to my right. It does take the community coming together. It can't be simply city government on its own that is able to end homelessness. We need all the faith-based community, nonprofits coming together, and we do have to work on affordable housing and increasing the amount and availability of affordable housing. The city has taken it very seriously. We've increased funding significantly to St. Vincent de Paul, Safe Harbor, Pinellas. We have $400,000 in our budget for this year to try and work on making sure that families who are most vulnerable have housing. And I've taken the pledge of the former First Lady to try and end veterans housing, or veteran homelessness. We've also told our police officers, anyone who is homeless that wants help, that needs to get treatment, that needs to get counseling, that needs job training, and a roof over their head, we want to make sure that they get that assistance that they need.
I think it's important to remember the human component of the homelessness. If somebody is homeless on the street, they can't just get themselves up on their own. They need help. They need help through transitional housing. And when I was in office, we worked with the Catholic Diocese, Bishop Parish, in an effort to build, you all want your voice, but you won't let anybody else talk. Why don't you let me talk?
People hate you.
So one of the bishop mentioned the Catholic diocese. We want to build Pinellas Hope.
Please,
and it's a
let
center.
him talk.
It's a center where tonight over 400 people will have housing, have a place to stay, will be able to get support. They are able to get in contact with their families. They get food. They get working. They get opportunities to get work training and get a job to try to transition from the homelessness to become productive and active and self-support. That is the solution to homelessness.
You will all have 30 seconds to respond. The first responder will be candidate Kreisman, and the responses will go down that way and then wrap around this way. The question is, if elected, will you retain Chief Holloway?
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
It's a yes or no question? Absolutely not. When you look at the St. Petersburg Police Department, you really have to measure the two different standards, because the St. Petersburg Police Department in the white community is completely different from the St. Petersburg Police Department in the black community. In my community, Holloway does a great job instructing his officers to help elderly women across the street and rescue kitty cats from trees. In the black community, it's a completely different story. It's two realities, it's two St. Pete, and it's two St. Pete Police Departments. I support black community control of the police.
I had an opportunity to meet with Chief Holloway after I dealt with police brutality, and it was not a good meeting. So I would definitely not keep Holloway, but I definitely would get someone internal that has already been in the workings, knows the community, and is not getting secondhand information about the community, that really knows how to police the community.
I will start off by saying, no debate, vote Kate. To answer your question, as a transparent mayor, in which I will be, I will not make any decisions as well until after every situation is taken into consideration. Because I don't believe in giving up opportunities, I'm about creating opportunities. And when it comes to development and talent acquisition, I am definitely the man that believes in each and every last person in this city. And I will make sure that everyone is properly developed.
All right, the next question is going to go to Group A. We're going to start with candidate Neville, then candidate Kreisman, and candidate Lassiter. What are your positions on high-rise development within the city with regards to the resources and infrastructure necessary to sustain these new buildings and balance this with other needs in other areas of the city?
Like most people in this city, I am sickened to see the waterfront of St. Petersburg privatized by an endless nightmare of high-rises to be enjoyed only by the rich. And I call for an immediate, minimum, 5-year moratorium on any more high-rise construction. Because everybody knows that these high-rises are generating more waste on an already strained sewage and stormwater infrastructure. Let's focus on building the sewage infrastructure and stop overrunning the city with a glut of high-rise condominiums, half of which are empty, by the way, and yet we have so much homelessness in the city of St. Petersburg. What is wrong?
regarding high-rise, whether it's office or condos, really goes to the issue of the quality and the character of what kind of city do we want to be. It's one of the things that we've really been taking a hard look at as we continue to grow as a city, is how do we protect the character, that thing that really differentiates St. Pete from so many other communities, makes us so different from so many other communities. How do we balance that character both in our business corridor, but also in our residential neighborhoods, where we see big, huge houses being built in neighborhoods that are totally out of character with the rest of that neighborhood. And so we are focusing really hard at trying to find that sweet spot where we continue to be open for business, but at the same time, we are doing what we can to make sure that we protect the character of the city that makes St. Petersburg the special place it is to live.
When I'm elected, what I will do is make sure that we go back to basics. To me, the administration has gotten the cart before the horse. We need to deal with affordable housing. We need to deal with housing for the homeless. We have a lot of people, elderly. I say they are the most overlooked people in this world. But yet and still, I've sat at city council and I've watched many women that live in condos down there come and complain. They don't want their view blocked. That's one reason why they didn't put the new stadium down there, because they fought against it. It's time for us to go back to basics. I'm all for downtown, but they haven't taken care of my community, and I've been waiting 25 years. I think we need to go back to basics and spend the money on affordable housing for all people.
All right, the next question then is going to go to Quebec and begin with candidate Baker and go that way. How will you address allegations of police abuse?
You know, the police department and the police officers in our city have the hardest job in the city. They are the ones that are out there to protect us. But because they're given the responsibility to protect us, they also have the responsibility to be accountable for their behavior as well. So I think you have to make sure that as you have discipline hearings, as you have issues, that it is transparent, and that you hold everybody accountable for their actions. Clear folks that are innocent of any wrongdoing, but you hold people accountable if they do things they shouldn't do.
The next candidate, please.
Wild card.
One of the things I would not do is suppress any allegations. I would not try to harass the person or make living in the city unbearable for that person because they allege that. And that sometimes happens. But another thing that I would not do is put together a waiver of jury so that the person could not get a jury trial, like in some of the contracts that the city is doing right now. They're putting a waiver of jury. So if there's ever a situation where it comes down to litigation, there will be no jury, only the judge will be heard. What I would deal with, as far as the officer themselves go, is to conceal the situation as much as possible, to try to get some answers from the police officer himself, and not with him with a crowd of people who are putting in information to help his cause.
That's my sister, by the way. One thing that I this is that's the beautiful thing I love about democracy. But one thing that I will ensure when it comes to my police force, I will ensure that there's never a Ferguson or a Baltimore here in the city of St. Petersburg. And if something does happen to that extent, that officer, based on each case, that officer will be not suspended with pay, that officer will be terminated. Criminal charges will be filed, and we will go from there. I will ensure a safe city here in St. Petersburg.
In the room with us tonight is a woman named Kunde Mamvita. Kunde Mamvita is the mother of Dominique Battle, who at 16 years old, along with Ashanti Butler and Lanaya Miller, were brutally drowned and murdered by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department in this city. And I say this to other white people here, the death of that child should be as painful for us as it has been for her. And we cannot cooperate with a city government that expects us to stand by idly while the police and the Sheriff's Department murder black children in our name. I call for the immediate removal of the murderous Pinellas County Sheriff's Department from the city of St. Petersburg and black community control of the police, period.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 25 years. I don't have a problem with calling the voluntary. I don't have a problem with calling Go Davis. I don't have a problem with striking Al White down. I don't have a problem with calling the minimum out. Because the community has been calling Mama T. But I need to say something, because last night I came to the Ahua to do, they had invited me. And I felt honored. But I'm going to speak truth to power. They're talking about the three young ladies. The mother's over there. I met her a while back. She was going through hard times. I was able to be a blessing to help her. But at the same time, I'm going to keep it real tonight. Truth to power. When that long called me, asked me that I was a community activist, and I need to bring people together. My question was, were they at the police station looking for them at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Ladies and gentlemen, because of all the time that you have taken away from the time, we've had other questions to ask and we don't have time to ask them. So we're going to go into